for some reason, whenever courses seem to be really, really hard, guys seem to shoot low. So I think this course is kind of middle of the road in terms of difficulty. I think there's some hard holes on there and some holes that are really gettable. So I think scoring is going to be relatively low.
All right, we'll open it up to questions. You can raise your hand and we'll bring you over a mic. We'll start over here on the right.
Hey, Xander. Does seeing the recent success of Rory and Scottie kind of give you any extra motivation to remind people why you won 2 majors last year?
I don't think it's motivation to remind people. I think it's just motivation to play better and to keep working hard. You know, whenever anyone does anything, if I'm sidelined or have an off week, you know, watching Scottie shoot the lights out in Dallas, you know, that's motivating. So just motivating to get better at what I do and to show up and try and get myself in contention to win.
Right here, front row.
Because you guys play so many repeat courses throughout the course of the schedule, when you get to a course like this and you're seeing it for the first time, how do you approach your practice rounds?
Try to take in as much information as possible. Maybe avoid a game that you normally play with some of the guys, a little 2-on-2 or 1-on-1. Just hit, you know, I feel like when you're in Northeast, you know, we've been on grain for a little bit, so there's a little bit of grain, I guess, with the bent greens, but for the most part, you know, that long sort of, I guess it's bluegrass. It's like a thick blade, and your ball can kind of sit differently in it. So getting used to that is important, and trying to figure out where the pins would be and things of that nature.
Go to James.
Sorry if this one's been asked already. How is this course different from sort of a typical PGA Tour setup?
Not really sure. I feel like right now, I mean, it's weather dependent. So I'd say like right now the greens are probably a little bit slower. To be honest, if the greens got really fast, it would probably be a pretty scary test with how much undulation or how much slope is on the green. So I think, you know, the grass is a little bit different, and the greens might be a touch slower, but you know, and it's supposed to rain tomorrow, but if it doesn't, you know, I thought the greens were about a foot faster already, so there's definitely an ability to sort of roll them and get them going if need be, and I feel like they're kind of keeping that up their sleeve.
Are you much of an course architecture guy?
Not really. You know, I think certain holes look cool. I think the par threes on the property are probably, to me, you know, if you want to talk about architecture, they're like the coolest looking holes to me for some reason. I think they set up and frame really nice. But other than that, I don't really know much about anything else.
Go over in the middle here.
Hey, Xander. At Augusta, you said confidence is a tender thing, and you were going to have to try to work to build your confidence back up to where it was last year. As you look to this week and next week at Quail, where you played well, where's that confidence at?
It's building. You know, I don't feel like I've done anything to knock myself down in confidence. That can obviously happen pretty quickly, but for the most part, I feel like I've, you know, put a nice building blocks together to get back to a place where, you know, I feel like I can win every week.
We'll go left right here.
Thank you. After you were done playing at Augusta, were you able to focus at all on the tournament, and did you find it wildly entertaining like so many of us did?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely had this need to turn it on, you know. I remember I was in the parking lot and, you know, doing the sort of classic, you know, had some friends and some family there. Everyone wants to take a photo. I'm like, we need to get home and watch the end of this because I don't know what is happening. So I was definitely a fan in that moment.
We'll go to Adam right here.
Xander, does this course remind you of somewhere else you've played in the past?
Some of the trees and the way the course sits, the grass, I don't know. Aronimink kind of comes to mind a little bit. Aronimink kind of has more, maybe not rolling hills, but it seems like the property has more, you know, slope in certain areas, or in the fairways at least. Of course, like Ridgewood, these are all courses that are kind of close. I'm just trying to think of courses I've played kind of, you know, in this area, but it just has that, you know, sort of nice northeast feel. It's a change up for us, which is cool.
And what's your strategy heading into next week, being the defending champion? And can you tell us a little bit about your plans for the dinner?
Yeah, it was. I didn't go do anything unique. I'd say it was sort of middle of the road, a steak option, a fish option. I wanted everyone to be happy with, or to be able to eat whatever they'd like. And I think the gift is pretty fitting for everyone. I think they'll enjoy it, and if they don't like it, they can re-gift it easily. So,
what are you giving them?
A pretty on brand, I guess, a humidor and some cigars.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go to Ron.
Xander over here. As you talk about confidence, do you have to just see something happen, or feel it to know, okay, I'm taking the next step?
It's, I think it's sort of when it grows the quickest for me personally in tournaments, when I'm able to hit a certain shot, whether I'm uncomfortable or comfortable, just pulling off a shot, whether it's, a drive or an iron shot, we kind of get a feeling, and then you're like, all right, I just hit that, and then you kind of stack up a few nice shots one after the other, and all of a sudden, you're just kind of on cruise control. Like when I watched Scottie, the way he kind of went around Dallas, he was kind of stacking up really nice shots, and sure, he missed, he'd kind of leak a drive out to the right, but you don't really think of that because you just hit 10 or 12 really good shots in a row, so it's easy to fall back into like a really good rhythm and flow. So just something of that nature. So I think the only way to really do it, you can do it at home, but that helps. But once you do it in tournaments, you can go on autopilot almost. That's when it kind of becomes fun.
James?
Just following up on Michael's question from Rory's win, I'm wondering, are there any other golf tournaments that you can remember watching as a fan? Do you have favorite tournaments that you watched when you were, either not playing professionally or playing professionally?
Yeah, it'd have to be something with Tiger. Watching Tiger live at Torrey Pines is something that comes to mind quickly. Tiger winning the Masters, Tiger winning East Lake. And then along the way, there's been times where, I had a few guys that I like out here, pulling it off as well. So, but in terms of the drama factor, it's been a while since there's been sort of that much drama, I feel like. Everyone I talked to was saying the same thing. It was like a must-watch, what is going to happen thing, you know what I mean? So it was unfortunate, obviously, that there had to be a loser there, but it was a cool thing, I think, for golf.
We'll go to the left over here with Pete.
You mentioned the grass and the new challenges that come with playing in the Northeast. We don't have a lot of events out here aside from the Travelers and the occasional major. Would the PGA Tour benefit from having a more consistent staple in the Northeast aside from the Travelers for the both fans and also for you guys to have more of a wider look at the Northeast? Yeah,
I think it's for us. It's not really. I don't think we should play in certain places because the players would like to. I think if there's a big market and people that like to watch it and the correct sponsor, then I think we should play wherever that should be. So Billy's got some good fans, and they're into a lot of other sports, and I've heard there's a pretty good number of people coming out for this week. Hopefully the weather stays away and it's like today. That'd be awesome. So I'm sure the weekend, if it's like this, will be a good viewing and a good following. So if the fans and the community support it, then we should be here.
We got time for two more. We'll go to Adam right here.
Did seeing Rory complete the career Grand Slam do anything to you in terms of your goal for wanting to be part of that club?
Yeah, it's a couple things. I think you realize how hard it is. Before it took him 11 years, and Jordan's the next closest, and then everyone else before that had like 3 years before they clipped it. So, one, getting yourself into the position to do it would be awesome. I'm far away, closer than some, but I still feel far away. I still need to win, another major before the correct major before I'm in the talks of it. So, yeah, it's extremely motivating. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I think there's a reason there's only 7 guys, and it should be it's a big honor, and it's quite the career accomplishment. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that motivate me, but that's always been something I've wanted to do.
right. Thank you for your time, Xander.
Thank
Good
you.
luck this week.
Spurred! All right. Ball up.